Welcome to Your In Depth, where we walk through and break down our favorite fictional universes. It's been a while. You're such a turd. I'm just gonna bleep that out, and we're gonna continue because you're back to being a turd. You know, the thing is, though, and I started thinking about this. I'm like, dude, we should probably record soon because, like, anybody that's not like up to, like, I guess I didn't do any updates or anything on like the podcast. You know, it was like I messaged our patrons and let them know. I think I even mentioned it on YouTube, but like anything that's if like somebody's actively following it on podcast, they probably like on you know Spotify, they probably just thought you offed yourself finally, you know, like because you're always making jokes and then all of a sudden we don't record and don't post for when was that? I mean, Book of Boba Fett had just ended. That was the last
that was back in March
thing. Yeah. So where
back
is
in February, because
here's our thing. Our last episode was on February 13th.
Yeah.
So yeah. But anyway.
Yeah.
So we are going to get back into, sorry, I wasn't talking directly into my mic. We're going to get back into Return of the King. We are starting around an hour into it.
Yeah.
That's where we left off in the first part, and we're just gonna get into it.
Real quick, though, I know you said you wanted to jump into it.
Back to this crap.
Because they're like two Lord of the Rings things, right? Like obviously we got the Rings of Power going on now,
right,
airing and whatnot. I think it's only like a 6-part episode or maybe 8-part season 1 type of deal.
I don't know how long it's supposed to be. The first 3 episodes are out right now.
Yeah. So the last episode for that, I believe, is October 17th. I believe it's the last episode for season 1.
Okay.
But then I have not seen any updates, and I remember this because I have Gollum sitting right here on YouTube on the screen. That's where I've got the movie paused at. So it reminded me. I haven't heard anything about that new Gollum game they've been working on at all.
Yeah, I haven't either, actually.
But there is another Lord of the Rings game coming out that I want to say it's called Lord of the Rings Return to Moria, something like that. Basically, it's kind of like a world builder. It looks kind of like a Minecraft-esque type game where you're playing as a dwarf going back to Moria, and this would be after the fall, or after the events of Return of the King. I think it's called Moria Reclaimed. That might be it. It's you're doing mining, gather resources, build stuff. And in the trailer, it talks about as you mine, you may attract the attention of some unsavory folk. Essentially saying as you're mining, you might attract the attention of like goblins and stuff still chilling in Moria. And so there is a fighting aspect to it as well. It's got like a multiplayer to it. I'm assuming like a Minecraft type game, maybe not as blocky as Minecraft is, but something similar to was that. And then I had seen
those
something...
are like my favorite type of games that you gather resources and build stuff. So I'll be excited for that.
I did see another one. It was more of just a rumor talking about potentially some sort of Lord of the Rings RPG. That would be coming out for like consoles and PC. Not entirely sure. Jacob, you get that face out of my face. Get that face out of my face.
I have a little Lego character head on a pen, and I was holding it up to the camera in place of where my head would be. So that's context there.
But yeah, so some sort of potentially some sort of Lord of the Rings RPG game in the making. No idea if it's actually true, or if it is true, no idea when it would be coming out. Just something to kind of keep an eye out for.
Okay. Alrighty. So I think that this is going to be a bit of a struggle to get back into, just forewarning, because I don't remember. I have words on paper for notes, and I didn't just watch it. No, I remember kind of what happens prior to now, but I'm saying like the events of what we're going to be covering this episode.
Oh,
I don't, I don't know, man. I'm trying to remember it, but I think we'll be good. But if I'm just going to kind of outline if there's anything you want to, elaborate on, or if I sound uncertain, just be like, hey, idiot,
Yo,
So.
shut your face! I got stuff to say.
Yeah. So, hey, could you just do me a favor and shut up for a second? So.
Oh, also, last thing, no update on that
yeah.
War of the Rohirrim movie that they were working on.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that.
The only thing I do know remember is that it is an animated movie. I don't know if I ever mentioned that before. It is an animated movie, but no update on that. I haven't seen Jack or anything for that. So.
Okay. Well, actually, I think it would be beneficial to do a recap. Well, yeah. So that's up to date. Again, I don't know. I'll try to. I think what I'll try to do is piece together the summary to where it's makes sense but isn't so like spaced out and jumpy and stuff. But at the same time, I don't know. I remember that now, so I'm at least informed whether or not I keep the whole summary in or not. So
it was more so for you than the listeners, so it's fine.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll just cut it entirely, but regardless, I feel up to date, so we're good.
We do have like another 3 hours to the movie, so I'm expecting probably another 4 or 5.
3 parts.
Probably another 4 or 5 parts. Depending on
more accurate, but we'll try.
How it goes, yeah, because there are going to be more parts where, again, I'll go more in depth in some sections, but there's also some parts like they have their fight scenes and stuff, which we don't really need to go in depth on. There are going to be certain key points or like aspects of some of the fight scenes that I will kind of go into because they're just the differences between movie and book and that sort of thing. But
sure.
Fight scenes shouldn't take too long, but there are plenty of other sections as well.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to kick it off here where we left off, or.
So we start off our where we're starting now, whatever. Focusing in on Gandalf and Pippin. I think that Gandalf just kind of does he tell Pippin what needs to be done? Because he says something to Pippin, if I'm remembering right, and Pippin runs towards a tower. Like
yes, so
it ends up becoming clear what he needs to do.
Yeah,
but like, does Gandalf really specifically tell him what to do?
Yeah. So basically, what happens here is Gandalf is telling Pippin to climb the side of this tower, the side of this essentially this beacon,
right?
And light the beacon. Yes,
right.
Because at this point in the movie, or even to just this point in the time frame of Lord of the Rings, Denethor has basically lost his mind. As I said, I talked about this a little bit for the last part. He's lost his mind in a mental fight against Sauron, to the point where he's unwilling to ask for help. He's unwilling to truly see reality for what it is. And so Gandalf is taking it in his own hands to call for aid, to have Gondor call for aid. So he's sending Pippin up this tower to light the beacon to call for aid from Rohan.
Yeah.
And he's using Pippin because, again, in one of the earlier movies, actually, I think it's all the way back in The Hobbit, Gandalf is talking to Thorin about how hobbits can be quick on their feet and they can move unseen by most if they choose to. So he's got his little sneaky spy, his little agent there, Pippin, going to light the beacon to call for aid is what's going on there.
Yeah. So Pippin does run towards that tower to do just that. Meanwhile, we do see Faramir moving throughout the city. He talks to someone who says that they have scouts everywhere. If the orcs come from the north, they will have warning.
And so he's talking to this guy has a name, and I'm trying to blank on the name. I want to see if it gives me the subtitles here on what his name is.
Okay. Yeah.
Let me actually expand this so I can be a little more precise on time. I think it's like Madrid. I want to say his name is.
Something like that.
I don't think they ever say his name in the movie, but basically what's going on here as well is because if you remember in the second movie, we get those scenes here in Osgiliath of Gondor fighting the orcs across the river, basically just a range battle, right? The archer shooting from both sides. Well, that battle is kind of, at this point, they kind of have a lull in the battle. Both sides mounting up for the next attack, or essentially the orcs getting ready to push, Gondor prepping their defenses, keeping on watch.
Right, but their eyes are fixed that way.
Yeah, so basically, and so basically, what Faramir is thinking is, because they have the River Anduin coming down, which splits Osgiliath in half, and they've got the bridges to cross that. And so what Faramir is thinking is the orcs are gonna send a detachment up north, cross the Anduin, come back down south, and attack their half of Osgiliath from the north. But what we see happen here is the orcs just push across on boats when it's really foggy out. You've got low visibility. And so, like you were kind of saying, they're just looking in the wrong direction. They expect the attack to come from here, and it's not where it comes from.
Yeah, and one of their scouts or somebody does notice one of the orcs, but immediately gets hit by an arrow,
which
dead.
I do have to say is very odd that one arrow just punches right through his plate armor. Because plate armor is so tough that, like, in medieval battles, it was not uncommon to see someone in plate armor to have like dozens of arrows just hanging from their armor because it would go in a little bit and just stick, or it might hit them in the shoulder, but they're wearing like their plate armor. They've got chainmail, they've got leather, they've got stuff underneath. It's just kind of hanging down from their shoulder. And I mean, if we look at the orcs' weapons, they're very crude and rudimentary. And so it just kind of baffles me that this orc's arrow just punches right through the center of the plate.
But then again, I mean, orcs are pretty strong. They probably have a strong draw weight on their bow. It's probably launching pretty, like, a lot quicker than you. I don't know.
I mean, it has to be, because at that point you're talking like pure physics. Like, it has to be hitting a certain speed to punch through this steel. So, I mean, it's got to be it doesn't look like a powerful bow, but it's got to be fairly powerful to punch through.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Faramir realizes where the orcs are coming from and has his men take off to properly address the attack from, well, the correct side.
Yeah.
The orcs,
the problem
meanwhile,
here, though, is they don't have time to properly prepare. Because, I mean, by the time they realize what's going on, the orcs are already basically across the river. So they don't have time to, set up their formations with their Gondor soldiers, and they don't have time to set their Ithilien rangers up in, like, archer positions and all that battle stuff, right? They don't really have that time. So it's really just get over here. We're setting a hasty ambush.
But the orcs reach the edge, reach land and draw their swords, get onto shore. Faramir's men are staying hidden and then start attacking. We cut over to Pippin, and he's approaching the tower, where there's a bunch of wood to obviously light the signal fire. And he does that. It catches on fire, and Pippin just gets on out of there.
Yeah, well, and they have the signal fire set up as well. For anyone that's kind of, I don't know if anyone's wondering about it. But anyways, they have it kind of set up where they have the torch sitting there at the very top, right below this giant basin of oil, or this giant, essentially bowl of oil, and then wood stacked appropriately. So literally all someone has to do, and you see Pippin do it accidentally, cut one of the ropes, oil falls on wood, grab the torch, plop, done.
But we see a sequence of other beacons being lit, because it's like a chain. It originates in, I forget the name of the place they're at.
Minas Tirith.
It originates there, and then there's like another one on top of a mountain a good while away. They see the one get lit, they light this one, and it just continues the chain for a while. Eventually, it reaches like Edoras and Aragorn sees it.
Yeah.
Takes off and tells Theoden of this.
And
he's like, hey, they're calling for aid.
Yeah, and so these beacons are known as the beacons of Amon Din. I'm actually not familiar with that. That might be like their name of the mountain range that runs across.
Maybe.
But you just sit there and think, though, if you watch it, because you see like dozens of different like beacons set up to carry the signal, and it's just like, man, how much would that suck to be one of those guys stationed on the top of a mountain, just waiting to see a fire pop up over there on the horizon.
Yeah.
And then like I
imagine that they have it.
How much is it gonna suck to have to haul more wood up to replace the wood that they're burning?
Yeah, like after you've that's funny.
Like,
okay, quick side note.
After you've lit your beacon, after the war is over, because that's basically what this is. This is a call for aid for war.
Yeah.
You know, after the war is over, how much is it gonna suck to haul wood all the way back up there?
Yeah. I mean, you could probably just take your, the dead up there and use that.
Yeah, I mean, at some point that's gonna rot away. When's the next war coming?
Whatever. It'll buff. So something this reminded me of, and it's not even Lord of the Rings, but a couple. Well, when was it? It was a couple months ago, I suppose. But my wife and I went out to Colorado, and we went to the Great Sand Dunes National Park. We went to a couple other national parks as well, but hiking up sand dunes sucks. Like, it's really cool because we also got a sand like board or dune board. I don't remember what they're called, but then like a sled and stuff. So you basically snowboard down the thing, but obviously on sand. So it was super fun. But at the tip like of one of these like just ginormous mounds, there was a probably 10-foot log, probably maybe 6-7 inches in diameter, stuck in the ground. And it was kind of, it served as a marker, but the national park doesn't have any markers. So somebody took that thing from way down. Like they probably had to have, I guess they could have done it on their own, but they probably needed help, and they went down to like this river and carried it all the way up the dune just to, stick it in the ground. Like we were just looking, we're like, yeah, there's no other logs around here. Like, that had to come from down there. That would have sucked. Yeah. Why? Like, what? But anyway, it just reminds me of the same thing, because it's like you got all this wood. It's like after it's burnt, you got to replenish it, and it's on top of a mountain.
Yeah, I was say it's like you're not talking about like we got to carry this log 200 yards up this slope, regardless of how steep it is. It's like we have to carry like dozens upon dozens upon dozens of logs.
Yeah.
Up the side of this mountain.
Yeah.
To set up or to reset up our early warning beacon or our emergency button, our system here. This is gonna suck. And like some of the spots where you see they have these beacons, like it's on like the tippity tops of the mountains where there's like snow everywhere. So it's kind of like freezing cold up there for those like probably 2 or 3 dudes that are chilling up there.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, Theoden though, sorry, I skipped ahead a little bit. Well, no, I didn't, but I should probably preface it since we had such a little bit of a detour. Yeah. Aragorn sees the light and takes off telling Theoden. Then Theoden says Rohan will answer the call for aid.
And Rohan will answer. Muster the Rohirrim.
Yeah, there's a commonly used phrase for the meme. Yeah. And I didn't phrase it exactly what the quote was, but yeah. So they suit up, they assemble their men. Yeah. And we see Merry.
I would say we get the traditional, Rohan music. Going as we see everyone preparing and mounting up and whatnot.
Yeah. But Merry offers Theoden his service, saying he has a sword, and Theoden accepts.
Yeah.
We see a random scene of Merry struggling to ride a horse as it won't move, which I thought that was kind of funny.
More of a pony.
Well, that but they all ride out.
Yeah. So a couple important details here that we hear Theoden talking about as well as all of this is happening, is that the Rohirrim are going to be they're going to all be assembling at Dunharrow, which we will see a little later in the movie. It's basically this big plateau where it's kind of like not quite it's like the 1/4 like point in the journey from Rohan to Minas Tirith, and it's a good staging ground and whatnot. It's also one of the very few spots where you can cross through the mountains that run east and west, from basically splitting Rohan and Gondor in terms of like a border. It's one of the few places that you can actually cross. Theoden also mentions, as he's talking to Éomer, to basically telling Éomer to go all throughout Rohan, muster as many riders as you can find, and meet at Dunharrow. And he basically tells him, you have 2 days, and on the third day, we're riding for Gondor. We're going to the fight. So hurry the fuck up. Is basically what he's saying. And so he says, on the third, we ride for Gondor and war. So there is a time restraint here as well for Éomer, getting troops ready for them. And we also need to remember as well, Rohan is fairly crippled right now as well. Like, not that much time has passed since the events of Helm's Deep.
Right.
Because in terms of the journey that we see with Frodo and Sam heading to Mount Doom, right? As soon as we see the point where Frodo and Sam get to the Black Gates, and we see that scene in episode 2, or not episode 2, but in the second movie in the Two Towers, from that point all the way to the end of the third movie is I think it's only like maybe a month in terms of time. So, and that's before the Battle of Helm's Deep when they see the Black Gates in the second movie. So, Rohan has not had time to recover. They have not had time to rebuild their armies, to repair the damage to all their villages, all that kind of stuff, to restock like food supplies and all that kind of stuff, like all the strategic stuff that you need to effectively wage war. They haven't had time to rebuild because all that stuff has been severely devastated by Saruman. And so like they're really in a tough spot right now where, yes, they need to go help Gondor, because if they don't, Gondor is going to fall and then they're going to fall. But they also don't have the means to like truly effectively, in terms of like actual strategic importance and all that kind of stuff, wage war. And so it's really this weird spot of like the lesser evil, right? Do we go to war ill-equipped, or do we hold and hopefully maybe we can stand after Gondor falls, And obviously we see Theoden choose the former, heading off to war right away. But I mean, Rohan also is in a good spot as well, where they've got soldiers that have combat experience, and who are very familiar with war. They just don't have necessarily the supplies to engage in an extended war. Like, they could go to battle and do fairly well. They wouldn't be able to do an extended war, a war of attrition, essentially. So they are kind of in a tough spot.
Yeah. But they do all ride out.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we cut back, and Faramir and his group are fighting orcs. Quite a bit of men are getting killed. Seems to be more than orcs.
Yeah. And as they are fighting as well, we do see the Nazgul or the Ring Wraiths show up on their fell beasts as well.
Oh, yeah, I do have that here, but it's just a little bit later.
Another thing here with what's going on in Osgiliath, with Faramir fighting, is because I as this is happening, we get a scene where we see built bridges drop across the gaps where I'm assuming Gondor has destroyed the bridges to the eastern half of Osgiliath.
Oh,
and we see orcs drop built bridges across and come swarming across. And so basically what we have here, we have Faramir trying to hold the western side of Osgiliath with, I would say, probably no more than 500 troops against armies. And because this is not just one army of orcs, this is armies of orcs that have assembled at Osgiliath. So I would say you're probably easily looking at like 500 Gondor versus probably upwards of like 10, 20,000 Mordor.
Quite a bit.
Yeah. And
quite a bit of outnumbered.
And for context with that as well,
I don't know
the Battle of Helm's Deep is, per the books, is 300 Rohirrim versus 10,000 Uruk-hai. Is the battle for the Battle of Helm's Deep, and that's with the Rohirrim in a fortified position, had time to set up with walls.
Yeah.
Whereas Gondor here has been caught by surprise. No time to set up. This is not a siege. This is just a brawl in the streets, as we see in this scene. Like, there's scenes where like orcs and men are fighting, like fisticuffs, where like men are like punching orcs across the face. Orcs are like biting at like Gondor soldiers' necks, and it's like this is a full blown like almost like tavern brawl spilling out into the streets type of fight. There's no strategy here. There's no defensive lines. None of that stuff. It's just, like I said, it's just a pure brawl. And as we see, Gondor is quickly just being pushed back over and over again.
Yeah. And in this scene of fights, we do see, well, it's a fight, but, the different scenes within it. We see Faramir shout to retreat, and meanwhile, his main guy, whatever the name was,
I'm gonna say his name is Madrid, and I'm pretty sure that's what it is, but...
Well, I'm going to refrain from calling him by name out of fear of, people complaining. JK, I don't care, but... The main guy is knocked down and killed by an orc, and the orc appears to have been stung by like 30 bees in the face. Just at first, his appearance. Have a look. Looks bad. He then claims that the age of men is over. Faramir rides with his men, getting attacked by fell beasts, as you had said, and in rides Gandalf, who shines a light, fending off the fell beast and Nazgul. They enter the city, and Faramir says kind of what had happened. Someone says, I don't remember who said it, but they say like, oh, just as Denethor predicted, and Gandalf retorts with, foreseen and done nothing.
So
being like, did nothing about it though.
Yeah. So real quick for a couple names for that orc that you're talking about, right, Mr. Deformed guy.
Yeah.
That orc's name is Gothmog.
Okay, I'm calling him Stingy Face.
And he is basically, so you have the Witch King of Angmar, who's basically like the general of the orc armies. Gothmog is next in line in terms of like chain of command.
Okay.
And so he's like a high ranking orc. Right, or general, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and I kind of figured that much. He's probably one of the...
Yeah, that guy that you're referring to, it's just as Denethor has predicted. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he's basically like the steward to the steward.
Because he's the assistant to the regional manager.
He is the assistant to the assistant, because really Denethor should just be the assistant to the king.
That's fair. Yeah.
He might be some sort of captain of the guard as well. I'm not entirely sure at this moment. But yeah, like you said, he's like, oh, Denethor predicted this, and Gandalf was like, yeah, and done nothing. And again, that all comes back to like Denethor's losing battle of like a mental war with Sauron going mad. But yeah, that guy annoys me so much in this movie because like he stands there and says things that aren't important. like he had no reason that there was no need to say that. He just made himself and his lord sound like idiots.
Yeah.
Like, Denethor foresaw this and he didn't send more troops. Excuse me. Like he's got a whole country to draw from. Like he didn't send more men.
But
because it's like Gondor is like one of, if not the biggest kingdom in Middle Earth right now.
Yeah.
And it's like you have 500 dudes stationed at your eastern border where you have been fighting a war for the last how many years now, and you left 500 dudes there. And this just reinforces how stupid that is.
Yeah. Moving on. Faramir stares at Merry, and Gandalf kind of picks up on it and points out, he's like, this is not the first halfling that's crossed your path.
Yeah.
And Faramir says no. He tells them that 2 days ago he saw Frodo and Sam, says where they went, and Gandalf is concerned.
Yeah, he mentions that they took the path to Cirith Ungol, which is another Mordor fortress within Mordor fortress within Mordor. How about that?
Well,
so basically, you have Minas Morgul passageway, kind of like valley, going further into Mordor, Cirith Ungol, then into the openness of Mordor. It's kind of like, here's your first checkpoint, here's your second checkpoint, here's Mordor. Is essentially how it's set up.
Meanwhile, though, Denethor is scolding. I don't want to say meanwhile because I think this is like
right after.
This is ahead scenes.
Yeah. So basically, Faramir tells Gandalf what he tells Gandalf, goes to report to Denethor what happened, and then this is Denethor's reaction.
Right, and Denethor is scolding Faramir as he knows that he sent Frodo onward, which I don't think Denethor was too on board with.
No. Basically, what we don't see is the report that Faramir gives. We only see Denethor's reaction to.
Oh, right.
So based on his reactions, we can assume a couple things, right? Number one, that obviously Faramir has reported that Osgiliath has fallen. Right? That's number one. That's what his main report would have been, right?
Yeah.
Number two, he reported that he found the One Ring. And number three, he would end up having told Denethor, whether there's questions that Denethor would ask leading up to this, or if he would just outright tell him, we don't know. But he would have told Denethor that he let Frodo go to continue his mission into Mordor.
Yeah.
And because on Denethor's side, it opens up with, you sent the One Ring into Mordor with a witless halfling, is the opening line we get. So obviously he would have had to report that had happened. Otherwise Denethor just wouldn't know. And like you said, Denethor does reply that it should have been brought to the Citadel, essentially where Denethor is now, and put in one of their vaults in the way back where no one could touch it, only to be used in the most dire situations.
Yeah.
Which Faramir returns, basically saying like it would have corrupted you, like we couldn't have used it if we even if we wanted to. Denethor replies back, "Oh, Boromir would have known his duty. He would have brought his father a kingly gift."
Yeah.
Faramir replying basically, "Oh, well, just no. Boromir freaking fell to the corruption of the ring. He wasn't the son you knew, or like he wasn't the son. He wasn't as strong as you thought he was. Essentially, which is not. This is just driving that wedge further and further between the two of them, which, as we've seen, is already like presently and strongly wedged in there."
Yeah. But he ends up kind of flipping out. He falls backwards, hallucinates, and sees Faramir behind Faramir, and then tells Faramir to leave.
And again, I know I keep bringing it up, but like this is one of those things I can't stress enough because we really only get to see the one side of Denethor. Especially with this hallucination he has. I think this was their small little attempt, Peter Jackson's small little attempt to kind of show
that he's not right in the head.
Not just that he's not right in the head, but that like there is a more than just being a side to Denethor.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Because we do see Denethor, like you said, we see him stumble back, we see him basically hallucinate Boromir. And we see him smile. We see him like, my son, he's alive, he's back. And then it fades into Faramir, and he's like, no, he's dead. You know, like
yeah.
And that just goes to show, which they didn't, like I said before, they didn't explain very, like almost at all, the madness that Denethor is suffering from.
Yeah. But we cut over to Frodo, Sam, and Gollum, and they are climbing that mountain path. Frodo almost falls, and we see that they are very high up. Gollum reaches for the ring, but after Sam threatens him, he acts like he was helping Frodo by grabbing his hand and pulling him up or something like that.
This is one thing where I kind of question that.
You question if he was
reaching for the ring,
yes, or if he was actually trying to help?
Because I'm wondering if they're trying to show this specific part from Sam's perspective.
Oh, that would make sense, because actually thinking about Gollum's kind of plan, it was like, we'll lead them to her and then we'll take it when it... Yeah. So that does make sense.
And so, because as we see this, right, it's showing it from Sam's angle, or from Frodo and Sam's angle, and then it jumps over to Gollum's angle for a second, although granted the ring falls out of Frodo's shirt hanging on the chain. But... like so we definitely see the temptation on Gollum's face, right? We definitely see that. But as he's reaching out, it goes to an over the shoulder of Sam. And so I'm really wondering if this is supposed to be that's actually how Gollum did it, or if that's Sam's perception of how he did it. Because as we've learned all the way up until this point, Sam is extremely suspicious and very wary of Gollum. He doesn't trust him in the slightest. The only reason he's still around is because Frodo's like, nah, Sam, we're keeping him. you know? And so it's one of those things that, like, I feel like this is one of those scenes they've put in where they leave it up to the audience to decide.
That's fair. That might be the case, yeah. I can see that for sure.
Because, like I said, it definitely shows Gollum, like, tempted. We definitely see that. Mm-hmm. But I also see it from Sam's perspective. He just sees Gollum reaching towards Frodo. He can't see that the ring has fallen out. So, whose perspective, or like, how are we really supposed to take this? I've always kind of wondered on that.
Yeah. But Gollum whispers to Frodo, telling him that Sam will betray them.
Yeah, and this is all coming from Frodo being exhausted, the ring's effect on him, all of that stuff that we've talked about before. And that's just Gollum playing on it.
Yeah, well, he's pretty vulnerable at this point because he's weak.
He's a weak little...
So, what was it? Oh, we cut over, we see a ring wraith trying to fully attack the city. We see that. We see Merry talking to Faramir. Faramir, what?
We don't see ring wraith attack city. We do see a ring wraith.
I don't know if it attacks it, but I said something, and it's a typo, so I'm trying to decipher it. We see a ring wraith.
So what we see here is the Witch King on his fell beast. So we do see a ring wraith. I think what you were trying to type is we see a ring wraith ordering the attack on the city.
Yeah.
Wait. Probably what you're going for there.
I just didn't read it. There was no typo at all. we see a ring wraith saying to fully attack the
There we
city.
go.
I just didn't phrase it. I didn't phrase it a proper way. But no, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
Anyway, yeah,
we see the Witch
that.
King, and again, because we can clearly recognize him now, he's got that helmet on that we see put on as Gandalf's referring to him earlier in the movie. He's telling Gothmog to commence the attack on the city.
Yep.
And Gothmog asks, "What about the wizard?" And we get the Witch King's reply, "I will break him." Yeah. Which has a lot of implications to it. I guess one important implication, or one important question is, how strong really is the Witch King of Angmar?
Yeah.
Because as I've talked before, Gandalf is basically the equivalent to an angel from the Christian faith. And so if the Witch King is I'm going to break him, what does that mean for the Witch King's power? Because the Witch King was a sorcerer before becoming a ring wraith that received one of the 9 rings of men from Sauron and fell and became a ring wraith. So he was a man. So how much power did he gain? Albeit he had to be a very powerful man to draw the attention of Sauron and for Sauron to choose him as one of the 9, but still a man. So how powerful has he become since receiving the ring, since falling to darkness, all that stuff, that he is like, I'm going to break an angel.
Yeah.
like that has such a powerful implication that if you don't have the understanding of like Gandalf's background, that you're not going to quite understand like just the power behind that statement.
Yeah. But we see Merry talking to Faramir, and Faramir tells him a bit about his brother, how alike Boromir and his father are. Merry says Faramir is strong, and one day his father will see it.
Yeah. And
Merry also pledges himself to the service of Denethor.
Pippin.
Pippin does?
Yes.
Because they're kind of...
Merry's with Rohan, Pippin's with Gondor.
Wait, when did... I was just saying Merry was talking to Faramir. Is that not accurate yet? No, Merry is. Pippin is...
Nope, you're mixing them up.
I don't frickin' know.
Merry is over with Rohan. Pippin is with Gondor. Pippin is talking to Faramir. You're just mixing up your hobbits.
How far back was I messing that up? Because I
didn't notice it until this point.
Yeah. No, looking at my note up quite a while.
Because you did say Merry pledges his sword to Theoden. You did say Merry there.
that was
and that's the last time we've seen Merry.
I see Pippin approach the tower with a bunch of wood. That I had it right there. Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah, you flipped your Hobbit somewhere in there.
I did somewhere.
Yeah.
When I was talking about Theoden, I said Merry.
Yeah.
Is that one Pippin?
Talking to Theoden?
Yeah.
No, that one is Merry.
Okay, that's right.
Yep.
Okay.
Merry is with Rohan. Pippin is with Gondor. And just to clarify here as well, because it is Pippin swearing fealty to Denethor. So earlier I had stated Pippin offers his service. So that earlier one was him offering the service. This one now is him basically saying, this is him saying his oath, solidifying his service to Denethor. So there's not any confusion of like, oh, I thought he already did that. No, he offered it then. Now he is actually swearing fealty, essentially.
Yeah, I'm looking. I'm trying to figure out where I got messed up because now it's bothering me.
While Pippin was talking to Faramir, he does talk about, because Faramir was talking about how, his father Denethor and Boromir, they were strong, they led men type of deal, and like you said, Pippin does say that he believes Faramir is strong, just in a different sense. I think he's referring to Faramir being strong in like his conviction. He's strong in his sense of duty. He's not physically as strong as like Denethor and Boromir, but he's mentally stronger than the two of them, is what he's referring to. And because at this point, Faramir is definitely like kind of like questioning himself. He's being berated by his father. His father's basically telling him that, oh, you're being loyal to this wizard instead of me and your country, just like knocking him down. He's lost how many men on their retreat from Osgiliath. And this is, I think, kind of like a Pippin, of all people, Pippin, somehow, some way, like reassuring Faramir in kind of like one of his low points. Because as we've seen up until this point, Pippin is just the big old goofball that messes everything up. And so this is a weird, like, kind of serious moment for Pippin within the his story, where it is more of a serious, I got your back type of deal. Yeah. Which I really like.
So looking back, I don't know where exactly I got messed up. I think there was a little bit further back, but at the same time, it could have been anywhere. It doesn't matter. We're in the middle of an episode now.
I do think you just had it messed up right here, because I have not heard you refer to Pippin as Merry or Merry as Pippin anywhere before this. So I think you just ended up typing the wrong name right here.
Yeah, it must have been. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. We're moving forward from it. So
it doesn't matter. I'll point out your mistakes to everybody. So
yeah, exactly. And then I'll cut myself later. So
tomato, potato.
Sorry. So I'm trying to now find my freaking spot. I'm on the wrong page. That's why.
So as you find your spot, I'll
Yep.
So we're at this point where Pippin is swearing. I don't want to say swearing fealty, because that has a certain implication. That means he's basically saying, "I will serve you until my death," type of deal. But he's saying an oath, basically stating that he is going to serve Denethor until Denethor releases him from his service, as payment for Boromir's sacrifice to him and Merry.
Yeah.
And Denethor gives a reply. I'm gonna give it verbatim, because I do like this this statement that he gives. Let me fast forward a little bit. Nope, it just jumped right over it. Give me 1 second. Come on. Yep, different kind of strength. So Pippin finishes his, from this point henceforth until my Lord releases me, or until death takes me. And Denethor replies, "And I shall not forget it, nor fail to reward that which is given." Basically saying, I will reward you for your service. And has Pippin kind of like kiss his ring, as you see like noble lords or whatnot do in like different movies and stuff, kind of like their kiss my ring, show your obedience.
Yeah.
And he says, fealty with love. Fealty with love, valor with honor, disloyalty with vengeance. And when he says that third line, he looks at Faramir, which has a very big implication.
Big on implications.
Yeah. Denethor is very big with his implications. And like I said, I think it
No, but I'm saying like
all the way back to that whole kind of him going mad. And all of Denethor's implications are just thrown at Faramir, because all of his implications are bad.
Yeah.
But then he goes on to ask, or he goes and talks about, the not leaving the defenses abandoned, basically talking about Osgiliath, right? That's their eastward defense. That's their front line against the forces of Mordor, and asking if he has a captain who's still willing to do his lord's bidding. Basically telling Faramir, hey, take that back. Is basically what he's saying. Which, again, part of Denethor's madness, and also part ignorance, because Denethor truly doesn't know, I would say, how many orcs are just taking up occupancy within Osgiliath. And in a way that it's described in the books, if I'm not mistaken, is that orcs are overflowing Osgiliath. So basically, there are so many orcs within Osgiliath that they've had to set up camp outside of Osgiliath because they can't fit all of them within the ruins of the city.
Yeah.
And again, hence why I say, like, armies of orcs attacked Osgiliath when we saw that battle. And Denethor, he wouldn't have a way of knowing that. You know, unless they had scouts that were out there watching, and they came back and reported, hey, they're setting up tents outside of the city. But, you know, at that point, he might just think, like, oh, well, they're just not occupying.
So, in this, though, Faramir tells Denethor, like, kind of like a, you know, not accusational, but, like, he's like, well, it kind of is. He goes, you wish I'd have died and Boromir had lived.
Yeah.
Denethor says, yep. That's an exact quote.
Yep.
Boromir is broken by it and sets out, says if he returns, Denethor should think of him better. Basically being like, you know, if I return from doing this, will you hold me higher in your view? And Denethor's like, basically, it depends.
Like, it depends on the manner of your return. And like you said, like, I think this really breaks Faramir.
Yeah.
Because, you know, all of his life, Faramir has tried to please his father. He has tried to act nobly while still doing his father's will, you know, fighting for Gondor, and he's always fallen short of his father's standards. And truthfully, some of that comes from Boromir. Because Boromir just, like, would exceed expectations, just raising that standard that Denethor has. And so, and because Boromir was so good at what he did, so good at fighting and achieving victory and all that kind of stuff, that
catching arrows.
Yeah, catching arrows. Usually with his hands. He wasn't quite fast enough in the first movie to do it, but you know, it is what it is.
He still caught him.
He's still just a champ. 100% catch rate.
Went out of fighter.
But no, Boromir was so good at what he did that, like, Éomer of Rohan saw Boromir as a hero.
Yeah.
Like, Éomer looked up to Boromir because Boromir was so good at leading his men, achieving victory, winning against all odds, that, like, Éomer, who is an amazing warrior in his own right, looked up to Boromir. And it's just like, for Faramir, how do you live up to that? You know? And his father expects him to. And so he's been, like I said before, broken down over and over and over and over again, that this is kind of just like the last straw for him. He's like, screw it. I'm going to take it, or I'm going to die trying, and hopefully that's good enough for my father. Hopefully that makes him, hopefully that shows him that I'm worthy. Hopefully that shows him that I'm trying to do his will, and hopefully he sees me better for it.
Yeah. We cut over to Frodo, Sam, and Gollum, and they're all sleeping. And in this scene, honestly, it made me almost like, what?
I go ahead. I just have a comment.
You're shaking your head because of this scene?
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
Okay. Well, they're sleeping, and something that immediately threw me off is how close Sam is to the edge. That's just not. That created anxiety in me. And it's like, no.
I would not be able to sleep there. I would not be able, like you said, Sam is like, his face is right next to the drop.
Yeah.
I would not be able to fall asleep.
I wouldn't either. And the thing is, I usually wake up in the same position I go to sleep in. I don't think I toss and turn. But no.
All it takes is that one time of tossing and turning, and you're bye-bye.
Yeah.
There's no surviving that drop. That's like hundreds upon hundreds of feet. You are not like hitting the ground and like bouncing. You are hitting the ground and you are splatting.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, is that what you were shaking your head about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would not be able to do it. There's no way. I would have to.
No.
I would have to try and position myself where my head is facing the wall. So I'm basically creating a T with my body and the drop. And even then, I don't know if I'd be able to do it.
No. But anyway, so during this scene too, Gollum wakes up, puts some crumbs on from the lemdus bread or whatever on Sam.
Yeah.
And then throws the rest of the food off the mountain, obviously framing him for eating all of it.
Yeah.
Something
again, just
I did see
that much more to turn Frodo against Sam. Right.
Something I kind of thought was funny is I saw a meme and it was like Sam and Frodo peacefully sleeping, and then it was like a Gollum, and it shows that meme of the salt dude where he's like flinging salt, like putting crumbs on him. But Sam wakes up and asks him what he's up to. Sam notices the elven bread is gone and accuses Gollum, and Gollum points out the crumbs on Sam. Little
Yeah.
And
I just have
continues
to say, though,
accuse Sam.
Gollum's steps that he has taken to turn Frodo against Sam, they seem like very obvious steps, but they are such genius steps.
Yeah, no, he's completely like he's cultivating the mentality towards Sam.
Yeah, and he's his timing on this stuff is so precise. It doesn't seem like it, but it is so precise. Like he makes the comment to Frodo while Frodo is struggling, as he's trying to pull himself up, as Gollum has just helped him up, and Gollum has helped pull him up.
Yeah.
And he makes this comment as Frodo is breathing heavily. He's exhausted. Gollum recognizes that. He sees the vulnerability. He makes the comment. We don't see him make any other comments. You know,
nope.
He just continues with his role. It comes to this point. They're up on this little flat, spot on these stairs. And again, Frodo and Sam exhausted.
Right.
They're trying to sleep. They're in a bad situation. Probably not sleeping that well. They look down and they see Minas Morgul growing with its green evil magic that has been cast upon it. Terrible surroundings. This is a time to sow some more deceit. Let's go ahead and sprinkle a little bit here. And then when Sam accuses him, right? And he's like, the lembas bread, it's gone. And he's like, he took it. He did it. It must have been Gollum. What's this? Crumbs on your jacket. He took it. It's like these on the surface, they seem like very simple things. But when you think about it, like the timing of it all is just so precise and so geniusly done, which just adds that much more like depth to Gollum.
Right. And it all kind of comes to fulfillment because Sam attacks Gollum, punches him a ton. Wish he punched him further, maybe with a rock, killed him, but but because knowing Sam's character, you know that he loves Frodo and he would do anything for him, and he sees the toll that it's having on him. So then when he finally does, offer help, I could take it. I could help you. So that seed of deceit and whatever that's been planted and watered in Frodo's mind and starts to sprout.
Another thing though as well is Gollum has also recognized that Frodo can see when he's Gollum and when he's Smeagol. Right? Because it's two different personas, two different personalities. But now as he's being Gollum, he's referring to himself as Smeagol, which is what he does when he's Smeagol. He doesn't do it when he's Gollum. Yeah. He does it when he's Smeagol. But now as he's Gollum, he's referring to himself as Smeagol. That just adds that much more genius to it to where tricking Frodo, and Frodo being very worn out, very tired from the effects of the ring, from the journey, he's recognized Frodo can't tell the difference now. If I act like Smeagol while I'm Gollum, Frodo can't tell.
Yep.
And it just pits it just pits him against Sam that much more because he sees Smeagol, who he has recognized is genuinely trying to help them. He sees Smeagol. And Smeagol wouldn't do this. Smeagol wouldn't betray him. Smeagol wants to help Frodo.
And that still remains true.
Yeah.
Smeagol does.
Yeah.
But you got that other...
But Gollum is so genius, he's playing Frodo for a fool. He's making Sam look like a fool. And truthfully, he's playing Smeagol for a fool as well. Because Gollum is very good at, and we see it in the second movie, right there at the end, Gollum is very good at manipulating Smeagol as well.
Right.
Because it's not just a split personality. It's when Gollum is coming out, Gollum's in charge of the body. When Smeagol's coming out, Smeagol's in charge of the body. Well, if Gollum can trick Smeagol, Gollum controls the body full time, essentially.
Yep.
And so Gollum is just playing all three of them for a fool. And he's doing it just so expertly. And like you said, when it finally gets to that point where Sam's like, I could help you. I could carry it for a little bit, give you a break. Gollum has already sowed so much deceit that it doesn't matter.
He doesn't see it as an offer to help. Yeah. He sees it as a trick.
Yeah, he sees it as a ruse to try and get the ring for himself.
Yep.
And it just goes to the genius of Gollum. Like, Gollum is one of those characters that you love to hate.
Yeah. But with that, Frodo tells Sam that he can't help him anymore, tells him to go home, and Sam cries. Then Frodo and Gollum move onward without Sam.
I mean, for Sam, though, it's one of those things, it's like, that's basically if you and I are going to do something very important, and I turn to you and say, hey, Jacob, I don't need your help, go f*** off. You have helped me all the way up into this point. We have been traveling for like almost a year together.
Yeah, but not even.
I don't need
not even
you
just
anymore.
that.
You've gotten me this far. I don't need you. Here, there's no thank you. Go off. I'm sorry for all the cuss words, by the way.
It's fine. I'm making notes, but it's not only that, too, because there's that level of hurt, like I'm not needed anymore. But there's also that like he's marching to his demise.
Yeah, and
you
Sam
know,
realizes
you know. Yeah, you know that Gollum is a little scheming piece of garbage, you know? And so for Frodo to finally be turned against you, it's like almost being like knowing if he goes off on his own with him, the worst is going to happen. Gollum's going to get that ring. Stuff's going to be screwed and Frodo's going to be dead.
Yeah.
So,
because I mean, Sam.
There's a lot to it, obviously.
Sam recognizes as well, especially with the whole, meeting the Council of Elrond back in the first movie and Gandalf talking to him and whatnot throughout their journey before before Moria, all that kind of stuff. Like, Sam knows that if Frodo falls, the world is doomed.
Yeah.
Like, the whole Fellowship, every member of the Fellowship knows that if Frodo fails, the world falls. Sauron wins. He takes over everything.
Yep.
Like Gondor and Rohan can fight for as long as they want. The Elves of Mirkwood with Thranduil and King Dane up in Erebor, they can fight for as long as they want. But if Frodo falls, the world falls because they can't hold out indefinitely. Because Sauron can just make orc after orc after orc after orc after orc. Whereas these kingdoms, right, they have to have children, have them grow up, have them learn to fight, train. They can't just spew out soldiers. They have a finite number. And so, like, the fact that Sam knows that and he sees what Gollum's doing to Frodo, he now is being told to leave. And
it spells out defeat.
Yeah, and
he knows the implication,
Sam
and he's like...
recognizes as well that Sam is Frodo's sole line of defense. Frodo is so worn down at this point from the ring that if Sam's not there, Frodo is going to fall.
Yep.
And it's like the comment that Frodo makes, I think, at the end of the second movie. Or Sam makes of, where they're talking about the stories and whatnot, and Sam does the whole thing of like, oh, I want to hear the story of Frodo and the ring, and it's like, oh, well, that's a great story, son. Frodo carrying the ring and whatnot, and Frodo makes a comment of too, like, well, Frodo wouldn't have gotten very far without Sam. Like in that moment, that's a sweet thing for him to say to Sam. That's like kind of reinforcing their friendship and stuff, but it's
very true.
Yes, it has a very strong truth to it.
Yeah.
As we see, mainly in this movie coming up further on, Sam is the sole reason, the pure only reason Frodo makes it this far.
Anyway, we've beaten this point long enough. We cut over to Faramir, who is preparing to ride out, and I think almost it's like this is going to be defeat. Like there's no hope with it. But he's riding out,
and we see it too on the faces of the people, because we see Faramir leading cavalry down the streets of Minas Tirith towards the front gate, and we see Gandalf, all the soldiers, and we see a crowd on either sides of the street, and you can see the sorrow. Like the people know that all of these soldiers are riding their doom. The people know they're not going to win. And we see maybe one or two of them go out with some flowers and offer them to the soldiers as like a last, like, in remembrance of. And we got like the sad music going. Like everybody knows, and Faramir knows, and the soldiers know. Like there's not a. Typically, you would see as soldiers riding out, they'd be like, "Yeah, let's go, let's win, let's kill." There's none of that. It is all solemn, sad, serious faces.
Yep. But Gandalf stops Faramir, tells him basically, don't throw your life away. Don't do this. And Faramir says he'd gladly give his life to protect the city. They ride out towards that other city that was taken. I forget the name of it. Yeah. But we then cut to Denethor, who is eating, I think, a tomato in the most disgusting way possible that has been memed to no end. Almost looks as if blood's coming out of his mouth. Like he's just eating it in such a way.
Mm-hmm.
But we then switch scenes again. We cut over to Aragorn and those he's with.
I thought it cut back to Faramir charging out.
I mean, maybe it does.
Yeah, it does. But before it gets to Aragorn, so we see.
Well, I guess there's a small section though.
So I just wanted to comment on this section is why I wanted to come to it.
Go ahead to it. They ride out towards the city that was taken, and then Denethor eats, and then he asks singing, Pippin to sing. Yeah.
And as Pippin is singing, we get the charge of Faramir to Osgiliath, and if you watch, you can kind of see how many riders they have, how many Gondor knights are charging out, and I mean it's a good number. They've got like 3 lines deep, a pretty far spanning line established, and I would wager probably 500 or 600 cavalry, which in terms of cavalry for battles and whatnot, like that's a pretty good number of cavalry. Like if you have a cavalry charge going and 500 or 600 cavalry charge into a line of soldiers, like unless they've got pikes set up and that line of soldiers can hold their formation, that cavalry is decimating those troops, right? Mm-hmm. But they're charging a city. They're charging orcs who are set up in and on buildings. It's not an open field. Again, all just leading to this doom.
Yeah.
And you get this sad song from Pippin as we see Faramir charging forward. And our last scene is the orcs drawing their arrows and releasing.
Right.
And so the implication is they all die. But we don't actually get to see that.
Yeah. But the implication's there.
Yeah. And I would say as well, the implication is not just that they all die, but that they probably didn't even make it to the city. They probably just got mowed down by arrows, like wave after wave of arrows. They probably didn't even make it to the edge of Osgiliath.
Yeah.
And it just, again, goes to the madness of Denethor. Like, he can't even see that he's throwing these lives away. or if he does see it, he just doesn't care. One of the two.
Right. But we cut over to Aragorn.
Yeah.
After all that happens, I did miss a couple of lines there, but mainly because I have two comments. One of them is Denethor is eating, and then all that happens, and the next one is we cut back and he's eating the tomato.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the first eating was, the tomato part, which bothers me.
Also, right before it goes to Aragorn, we do see the orcs pushing siege equipment across their bridges that they've made in Osgiliath.
Oh, right.
Basically just setting up for their attack on the city. But then it does jump over to Aragorn. I just say that because at this point the orcs are like 99% ready. They're just getting in position to march. Is basically where the orcs are at.
Right.
Just kind of to set up for the coming battle.
Yeah. And they're riding out and they're in a camp gathering their men.
Yeah. And so this is Dunharrow is where they're at now.
Okay.
This is where all of Rohan is assembling for their charge or their march to Minas Tirith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But here, Aragorn talks to Theoden. They see and like kind of look over at their armies. Aragorn says that they have until dawn and then they must ride.
Yeah.
Gimli, which I'll be honest, I forgot about at this point right now when we're recording. In the obviously, and then when I was taking the notes, I remembered, but anyway, he asks where a road leads.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like through the mountain. And Éomer says that the road is evil. No one ever returns if they go in there. Aragorn sees some kind of like green glowing coming from that road before they're interrupted.
Yeah. At this point as well, we do get a number for how many soldiers Rohan has assembled.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that.
Theoden says 6,000 spears, so they have 6,000 soldiers. Less than half of what he was expecting, less than half of what he was hoping. Sorry, and Aragorn even comments 6,000 will not be enough to break the lines of Mordor. Which all comes back to like 6,000 sounds like a lot of troops. But if you look at a map of Middle Earth and you see how big Rohan actually is, 6,000 fits into one territory of Rohan. Again, like I was saying before, it all just comes back to how decimated Rohan was from their war with Isengard.
Yeah.
But yes, this road that Éomer speaks of, it is the road to I think they say the Dim World? The Dimhold, sorry, Dimhold.
Dimmadome?
Yes, Dimmadome. And like you said, Éomer comments that this mountain is evil. And Aragorn sees that kind of green glow to it. And as we see as well, men are very uncomfortable this close to this pathway. Horses are kind of freaking out. There's definitely this kind of feeling of like, of wariness, this foreboding presence, however you want to call it. And if you look closely, when Aragorn sees that green glow, you can see what looks like a figure in the glow.
Yeah, it wasn't just like a glow. It did kind of look like a shadow, just like you catch the like tail end of like somebody going behind a door.
Basically, yeah. And you can see the effect it has on Aragorn as well. Like he's kind of like, what the heck? What the heck was that? Kind of like
he kind of like notices like there's something that kind of is a little not great.
Yeah.
But we see Merry getting outfitted in armor by Éowyn, who I don't know if we mentioned like when they were gathering up she was there. Maybe that was in the previous episode.
No, we didn't mention.
But she's there. Yeah. She wasn't supposed to be, but she was. For a little
context, Éowyn has been told, basically, okay, she hasn't been told. She does comment to Aragorn, I believe, a little later in this scene. It's still right here in Dunharrow, that it's common for the women of the court to see off the men. So it makes sense that she's come to Dunharrow with them. But Aragorn lifts up a little bit of his saddle. This is back when they're in Edoras, and he sees her sword, and like he knows, like she's planning on fighting. So she is supposed to be here.
Okay.
Nobody but Aragorn.
I think I'm thinking a little.
No one but Aragorn knows that she's planning on fighting, and Aragorn has a good enough understanding of Éowyn that he's not gonna like tell Theoden about it. He's not gonna turn her in type deal because she's gonna find a way to fight regardless.
But here, so yeah, I was a little like on the wrong kind of area there of the movie, but she's putting armor and helping Mary, putting armor on and whatnot, and it's kind of funny just because it's like she's dressing her child. I don't know. It's just funny to me how he like kind of acts that way because he can't. I mean, he's like so much smaller that he kind of needs some help.
Right.
But like,
well, and the thing is too,
but
if you think because of hobbits, they're basically children in size to men, so he's probably wearing like some child's outfit to play soldier, right?
Yeah,
because like.
Probably, yeah.
Like, there's no way this armor that he's wearing, even the helmet that she puts on his head and does the little clip for him, there's no way that helmet's gonna fit on a grown man.
Yeah,
it's just not gonna happen, you know. And so it's like he's probably wearing some armor that was just made for a child to play soldier, or maybe a child that's acting as a squire to the king or something like that. And like you said, he does act kind of very childish in this armor, which is funny because Mary at this point is like, I think he's like 32.
Yeah.
Which granted for hobbits, I believe it's 32 or 33 is when hobbits are considered adults in their life because they live longer than men do. And so Mary's like, so he's like basically the equivalent of like an 18, 19-year-old. Like he's now considered an adult among the hobbits. Pippin is like 25.
Yeah.
And so like him acting like a child is more like, okay, like he is a child still to the hobbits. But Merry is considered an adult, and he's, like you said, very childish. And he pulls his sword, and Eowyn's like, whoa, careful now. He's like, oh, it's not even sharp. It wouldn't even cut you if I tried. You know?
Yeah. But so that happens, and then it cuts to nighttime, and we see someone riding a horse up the many paths of the large hill that their camp is on.
So before we go here, we have a scene with Éomer, which I think is very important.
Okay.
It's basically Éowyn is sending Merry to the smithy to get his sword sharpened. Sharpened. And Éomer basically stops Éowyn as Merry goes and tells her, you shouldn't encourage him. And she says, well, you shouldn't doubt him. And Éomer says, I don't doubt his heart, only the reach of his arm, kind of half joke, you know. And Éowyn asks, why should he be left behind when we're going to war? And this is when Éomer gets like really serious. And he says, you know as little of war as that hobbit. And getting a reaction, he says, when the fear takes him, and the blood, the screams, and the horrors of battle take hold, do you think he would stand and fight? He would run. He would flee. He would be right to do so. Because war is the province of men. And it's a really serious and dark scene.
Yeah.
The way that Éomer describes it gives me chills, truthfully, when he says it. It's like the truth behind it. Like he's giving Éowyn a glimpse into what true war does to someone. You know?
Yeah.
And it's like a haunting, beautiful statement type of deal. You know, like you feel that shiver. You can kind of, for the briefest of moment, you can kind of glimpse into what he sees in war, but he describes it very beautifully as well.
Yeah. Okay. No, I appreciate you pointing that out because, though I was just kind of going past it, that is a good point to kind of bring up. It's like I don't know. I feel like a lot of them, if they haven't been in war,
right,
in this is probably like, we're heading to battle, we'll fight,
right.
There.
Well, and you
But they're
see
not
it,
thinking about the horror
right.
that it is. That the blood, all this.
And you see it even today.
I don't have.
With like
Go ahead.
members of like the U.S. military, right? A lot nowadays, at least with a lot of members of the U.S. military, it's a lot of like, yeah, let's go deploy, let's go fight, let's go, put our training to use, let's get it, yeah. But then if you talk to someone that's like a combat veteran, someone that's been in a firefight, like they don't talk about it as like, yeah, let's go get this. It's like, I've got to make sure you're ready, is how they talk about it.
Yeah, because it's a lot more horrific than
and
what you would.
And granted, we have a lot more like, technology and are a lot better at killing people nowadays, right? Because of our technological advances and stuff.
And it's not as like.
But even now, though, like we're using guns and helicopters and missiles and stuff like that. Whereas in this time period where they're fighting with swords and spears and bows and stuff like that, when you kill someone, unless you're an archer, you're right up in their face. You see the life leave their eyes. You get splattered with blood. Like there's a lot more horror to war in this day and age, where Lord of the Rings takes place, than today's day and age. Yes, today you get the blood and all that kind of stuff, but here you're getting splattered with it. When you cut someone's head off, or you stab them and pull your sword out, blood is splattering onto you. Like the gore is so much more in your face. It's
more present than if you see it at a distance or don't see it at all.
And I think Eomer's comment on it, I think that really drives it home for Eowyn, because you see the look on her face, and you see a little bit of maybe terror mixed with trying to think of the word, like terror mixed with maybe concern or wariness. She gets a very grim expression. Yeah. That you definitely like. She can't understand it without experiencing it, but she's like, oh.
Kind of getting a little more understanding of at least.
I should be worried.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. But moving on from that, so it's nighttime now. Someone rides a horse up the many paths, up the hill that their camp is on, and Aragorn is asleep, and he dreams of Arwen and being with her and all that. But he then startles awake, drawing his dagger. And this is a point where I was going to throw in our quick sponsor break.
Just to note real quick as well, the dagger, same dagger he gets from Galadriel in the first movie, by the way. Just a heads up.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Same dagger.
Neat. Anyway, though, sponsor break. This episode is brought to you by Tengwar-Pedic. Are you having trouble sleeping at night? Tossing and turning in a restless sleep? Then you need this best in Middle-earth orthopedic mattress. Made with the refined face leather of orcs and filled with their innards and blood, all sealed with Ent sap. This will not only be the comfiest mattress you purchase, but the most clean. We take pride in the fact that all of the delicacies that are filled inside that mattress do not spill out. Just don't sleep with a knife or something. All materials are sourced from undisclosed locations. And if you question if it's ethical, piss off. Ditch the uncomfortable cots and get Tengwar-Pedic today to reclaim your sleep. And be sure to write your in-depth on your order form to get 15% off of your purchase. Sleep easy, friend.
Nice. I don't think I want that mattress. Sorry, buddy.
It's all sealed, It's all sealed together, Like I said, Ent sap really keeps it, in and stuff. But anyway.
Anyways, back to the movie.
So
yes, we see Aragorn start awake, pulling his knife to a Rohan soldier, stepping into his tent to wake him. And Aragorn is breathing heavy. Like, I don't think this was so much as a dream of Eowyn. This was like a nightmare for him. And as we see, he does get a quick glimpse of that pathway that we saw him staring down that Éomer was talking about. And so he definitely wakes up in a start, like obviously like drawing his knife, like he's like, oh, what the heck is going on? You know, type of deal. And basically he's told the king wants to talk to him, or King Theoden wants to talk to him. And so the soldier leads him to the king's tent, and we see the Theoden standing there talking to someone who's cloaked. And he says, I take my leave. Basically saying, I'm gonna step out so you two can talk. And Theoden looks thoroughly disturbed. Like, I truthfully, I never really paid attention to his expression until right now. He looks thoroughly disturbed. So, like, this cloaked figure has told him something. We don't know what it is, but it really got to Theoden.
Yeah.
And as Theoden leaves and Aragorn turns back to the figure, we see him take his cloak down. And we see Elrond. Elrond has come to Dunharrow, saying he's come on behalf of the one he loves, referring to Arwen. And he says that she is dying. Obviously, grim news for Aragorn. Like, that's the love of his life. And
damn, sorry.
And he talks about.
I started to talk, and my body hates me. Sorry.
And he talks about how basically, as the power of Mordor grows, Arwen's strength wanes. Her strength is failing her. Her fate now is tied with the fate of the ring. So basically, if the ring is destroyed, Arwen will live. If the ring is not destroyed, she will die.
Yeah. Elrond warns Aragorn, though, that Sauron sends another threat from the south. Yeah. They will be on the city in 2 days, making them outnumbered. He needs more men. Aragorn says there aren't any, and Elrond says that there's those who dwell in the mountain. And we see glances of green ghosty dude.
Yeah, and as he's talking about the force from the south as well, we do get a quick image of ships coming down a river, and we see cities burning.
Yep.
And again, this is basically just showing that Sauron has more than just orcs, because obviously in the second movie we saw the Haradrim, or the Men of the South, coming up, or I guess the Easterlings coming to Mordor, going through the gate. But this is showing another force that Sauron has under his control. And these cities that we see burning in the background of these ships coming down the river, these are cities of Gondor that are following.
So they're close.
And again, this is the River Anduin. So for just a reminder, that scene in the first movie, right there at the end, where we see Boromir's body go over the waterfall with after he's killed, that is the River Anduin, and that's a waterfall that continues the river down all the way down through Gondor out to the sea. And so these ships are coming up the River Anduin, and they are looting and burning cities of Gondor on their way. So basically what this implies is that Gondor, the only troops that they have are the troops that are in Minas Tirith right now. Yeah. Because the rest of Gondor is either burning, destroyed, or they are fighting other forces and cannot send troops to help. Any troops that have been sent to help will have had to have already arrived at Minas Tirith.
Yeah. And but Elrond says that about those who dwell in the mountain, and Aragorn doesn't look too calm about that. He says they're murderers, traitors, and they answer to no one. Elrond replies with, they will answer to the king of Gondor, and then he pulls out that sword that he had reforged.
Yes, and so this sword...
and he gives it to Aragorn.
This sword that has been reforged, it was once called Narsil, the blade that cut the ring from Sauron's hand, right? That whole thing. It is now referred to as Anduil, Flame of the West. So basically, I think what a lot of people don't realize... I mean, you can get the sense that it has some magic property, as we see a little later in the movie, right? Mm-hmm. And I won't go to that scene yet because we're not there. But a lot of people don't realize, like, again, this is a sword forged by the elves. The elves have magic. They are giving this blade to Aragorn, who is, in their mind, going to become King of Gondor. If all goes well, he will be King of Gondor. And so the elves, as we know, are leaving Middle-earth, and they're wanting to... Elrond, at least, is wanting to leave it better than when he arrived, basically, right? So it would make sense that they give who they see as the future King of Gondor essentially a gift, a really powerful weapon, which is this sword.
Yeah.
And so, and I mean, the sword looks badass. It does. It looks really cool. Another thing I wanted to comment on was when Elrond is talking, and he says, "You need more men," right? And Aragorn says, "There are none." That has further implication as well. Because we know the dwarves are still present in Middle-earth. We know that Thranduil and his elves are still present in Middle-earth. If there are no more men, and I don't think they mean men as in like mankind, I think they mean men as in troops, right?
Yeah.
If there are no other men that they can call upon, that implies that these other forces, the dwarves and the elves that are still here, are fighting a war of their own. And we actually get references to this in some of the books and whatnot, that Sauron has sent forces to fight Erebor and to fight the Woodland Realms. And so we don't get to see it in the movie. But this is not just a war against men. This is not just him marching against Gondor. This is Sauron sending out tens, if not hundreds of thousands of orcs and calling upon his allies in the east, in the south. And he is attacking on all fronts. And with that, there's a lot of implications here. I apologize. But the implication with that as well is that Sauron is confident enough to open battles, open war fronts, or open lines of attack on multiple fronts. And he's confident enough that he can win those battles.
Yeah.
Because Sauron is this ancient evil. He's not stupid, right? He's not just going to send forces to go die. Well, he will, but he's only going to do it if he knows he can win.
Right.
He knows he can win, and he has the troops to back it up. And so, like, this force that we are going to see attack Minas Tirith, just remember, that's only a fraction of the armies he has at his disposal. And so, and Legolas even makes a comment to Gimli earlier in the movie as well, because Gimli says, "I would love to have a legion of dwarves, armed and filthy," and Legolas makes a comment of something along the lines of, "Well, I fear that your kin are already fighting their own war." Again, reinforcing this war is beyond just Gondor and Mordor. This is like Gondor and Mordor and Erebor and the Woodland Realms, and then you have Rhûn to the east, which is men that are helping Sauron. You have the Haradrim in the south, again, men helping Sauron. This is basically like World War happening right now. And so, like, the fact that they can't get any more help is a big deal, and it has a lot of implications that go with it.
I'm going to start up a little tally on how many times I try to continue talking, and there's more to say.
There's so much to say. There's so much.
Okay. Well, I need to take a break really quick because I have laundry, and it's getting we've been recording for 2 hours. So I'm going to write down the time. Let's leave our recording going so that it still matches up when we come back. I shouldn't take too long, but let's go ahead and take a quick break, and maybe I'll put in another sponsor just to remind people of ones that there's been. But yeah, so. This episode is brought to you by Éowyn's Elegant Eatery. The holidays are approaching and dinners are to be made, but why does it have to be by you? You can visit Éowyn's Elegant Eatery just down the road from the Rohan Senior Care, or you can get online and submit an order. This eatery is a single location restaurant that specializes in dine-in and mail delivery meal solutions. This year's Chef's Choice item is stew. So, release the stress of the holidays and let Eowyn's Elegant Eatery supply you with the meals. But don't take it from us. Noteworthy publications such as the Edoras Post and the Rohan Times coin this place as average at best and bland. Eowyn's Elegant Eatery has received many reviews on Yelp. Username Son of Gondor 2931 writes, "It's as if mashed potatoes sat in a dwarf's bathwater, given that dwarves bathed." And Dunedain Daddy 210 says, "This tastes like orc sh." Click the link in the description to submit an order and use code INDEPTH for your first meal box free.
You won't want a second.
So, coming back, where were we?
So we had Elrond talking with Aragorn about basically telling me they don't have enough men. He basically tells Aragorn he needs to take the path to the was it the Dimhold, whatever I called it.
Dimmadome.
Yeah. And he needs to use the Sword of Kings or Anduil to basically get the spirits or the people of those that dwell in the mountain, as he calls them, to help them. Everyone says they answer to no one, and he says they will answer to the King of Gondor as he reveals the sword. I think you had briefly mentioned, as Elrond says, there are those that dwell in the mountain. You need to take that road.
We were past this. There's another force coming from the south or wherever it was.
Yes, but you had mentioned, and I don't think we really mentioned a whole lot. As he says that, we do get that flash of Aragorn seeing that figure in the valley there, and valley entrance there. But we get it close up, and we see the face of this spirit, like a green spirit, and it's got like some decay to its face as well, even though it is a spirit. And Aragorn he looks like very concerned and worried about doing this. But that is the road that he needs to take for them to have a chance against Sauron, to have a chance of saving Minas Tirith, essentially.
Yeah. In summary, Elrond tells Aragorn to put aside being a ranger, become who he was born to be, and go get them ghosty boys from the creepy road.
Yeah. For those that are maybe drawing a blank with that, quick reminder, Aragorn is a descendant of Isildur, the last king of Gondor. I guess the last true king. Kings after that were kind of like pieces of shit. And so in Aragorn's history, he's with the Dunedain. He goes the whole ranger route, but he is supposed to be king. Like, that is his path, and he has been rejecting it thus far. And this right here, as Elrond says that, this is basically when Aragorn's like, all right. Like, he has kind of come to this decision already, but I feel like it's kind of like a half and half. But I think this is the moment where he's like, I need to take my rightful place. And I think a lot of it comes from the fact that Elrond tells him that Arwen is dying. Like the fate of this war is her fate. If we lose, she dies. If we win, she lives. And I think that's kind of like his big eye-opener. Because I'm sure up until this point, I'm sure he's thinking that Arwen has left for Valinor. She has left Middle-earth. And this is when he realizes, oh, she's still here. There's a chance I can still be with the woman I love.
Yeah.
But I've got to take my place. I've got to do this in order for that to happen.
Right. So Aragorn suits up his horse, and Eowyn stops him. And he crushes her dreams, saying that he doesn't love her, and wishes her joy, and then leaves.
For clarification, he basically tells her he's not in love with her, right? He loves her, right? He cares about her, but he's not he doesn't feel that way about her like she feels for him,
right? Because she's been infatuated with him since he showed up and stuff, and kind of trying to flirt a little bit, but trying to be closer to him, and he's just being like, my heart belongs to another.
Well, and he even says too,
I wish you well. and I care about you.
Yeah,
but,
he even says too something like it's a thought and a shadow that you love. Basically saying like, I'm not the man you think I am.
Yeah, you don't know me, basically.
Yeah, and he even says like, I cannot give you what you seek.
Yeah,
which, truthfully, I'm not really sure what he means by that. Because like she sees him as like a good man, an honorable man, and he is, you know. Like Aragorn is an honorable man. He's a good man. He's gonna do what's right, and we see that all the way back in the first movie when he refused to take the ring from Frodo when Frodo offers it. You know,
yeah,
we see it in the second movie when he refuses to leave Helm's Deep and leave the Rohirrim to die. Like he's like, no, I'll die as one of them. Like this is the right thing to do, and he does it. So I'm not sure what he really means by that. Because like as far as I can tell, her image of him is him. So yeah, I don't remember if it explains it more in the book or not. I don't remember, but that line always kind of confused me.
But
I mean, unless it has something to do with his like Dunedain past, his ranger past. Even then, I don't really see it because even then he would do like the right thing.
Yeah.
But
well,
I don't know.
Gimli asks where Aragorn's off to, and Aragorn tells him to stay. But then Legolas comes in and says they're coming with. Theoden comes out and watches and question. Yeah. I mean, they all do.
Well, and because Aragorn doesn't tell anyone where he's going. Yeah. So as far as they can tell, because the men of Rohan, especially after the Battle of Helm's Deep, they basically look to Aragorn as like second in charge. Yeah. And I think it's too, like, obviously they listen to King Theoden and they listen to Éomer, right? Because that's their king and really their prince. Éomer is like their marshal, right? But their loyalty to the two of them, Aragorn basically holds that same level of loyalty. Yeah. So like if Aragorn asks them to charge to their deaths, they will follow him through hell and back. Mm-hmm. Just like they would follow Theoden and just like they would follow Éomer. And so the fact that he's just like up and leaving, like, I mean, just like think of like the mental toll that's going to have on them. Right?
That's true.
Like in their eyes, and I think a couple of them even call out like, Lord Aragorn, where are you going? And I think someone else is like, oh, he's abandoning us, right? Like, what kind of message does that send to the soldiers? Yeah. Like, this dude that has stood side by side with them, probably saving a lot of their lives in their battles, is just leaving.
Yeah. But Theoden says, that they don't have enough people to defeat Mordor, but they will meet them in battle nonetheless. I don't know. Aragorn kind of goes off.
Well, and because I think the Rohirrim have a similar mindset to like the Viking mindset, like falling in battle is an honor type of mindset. Yeah. Not quite to the extreme of the Vikings who would get belligerently drunk before going into battle, but I think they have a similar mindset, or at least Theoden does. And whether that's just Theoden looking for like a glorious end to his life or what, I couldn't say. But Theoden does also tell the men like Aragorn's leaving because he has to. Like Theoden may not know exactly what he's doing, but he has an inkling, and so Theoden gets that, and I think this is kind of his attempt of reassuring the men. Yeah. But
Theoden does put Éowyn in charge while he's gone, like because they're leaving this camp and going into battle. Yeah. So the women and children, and I think that's but they stay back.
Basically, the women, the children, and like the old men that can't ride anymore are the only ones not going. So like, right at this point, I think an important thing again to realize is any middle-aged man, probably from 16 all the way up to like late 50s, right? Yeah. Left in Rohan is riding to war. Yep. So if they fail and they all die, Rohan is left with no one to defend it. Yeah. Like you have Éowyn and maybe some of the older men take up arms if they have to. But what are they really going to be able to do? Like Éowyn, as far as Theoden knows, because obviously Éowyn has training. She's a shield maiden of Rohan, so she would have training and whatnot. So like she could hold her own against forces, but she's not going to be able to stop an army. She's right. And it's truthfully, it kind of makes Theoden look like an idiot to an extent, right? He's gambling here.
I mean, looking at it from an outside view, yeah.
He's gambling here, right?
Yeah.
He's gambling that they will prevail and some of the men will survive.
Yep.
But from another perspective, he's leaving his country undefended.
Yep. But she's in charge if he doesn't return. He says that he wishes her to smile again and see days renewed with no more despair. We cut over to Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas. They're riding along the road, and Legolas gives a briefing of the people that they are seeking out.
So
basically, they didn't come to Gondor's aid.
Yes. So what this is, for I guess a little more clarification as well, because Legolas is very vague with how he says it, right? Isildur, the spirits of these people, because I think at this point we can tell that they're spirits, especially seeing that spirity ghost figure, right?
Mm-hmm.
When these people were alive, Isildur called upon them for aid. Now, whether that's referring to the Battle of the Last Alliance or a different battle, I'm not 100% sure. But Isildur called to them for aid. They were basically his bannermen, right? They were some of his subjects. And they refused to go and fight. They fled to the mountain and they died here. So, and I think Legolas even says, when Gondor's need was dire. So when Gondor was in a really bad place, they needed help. These men refused to fight. And they fled. They died in the mountains. Isildur, again, because he's a descendant of Numenor, which is kind of like a man/elf kingdom. It kind of varies. Starting out as elves, so again, they have magic, right? Isildur uses said magic that he has to curse these men, basically saying, you are going to be cursed to live in the afterlife in this mountain until you fulfill your oath to help Gondor. Because they would have given some sort of like pledge of fealty, pledge of service to Isildur, and they broke that. So he curses them. They're stuck here until they fulfill that oath. Well, guess what? It's been like 3,000 years now.
And they've just been in there.
And they've just been chilling in this mountain as spirits. And I'm assuming this is referring to the Battle of the Last Alliance against Sauron, that big scene we see in the beginning of the first movie. I'm assuming that's what it's referring to. Because that was when Gondor was last in like a spot they're in now, if not worse, if not a worse spot. And so Legolas is kind of giving this story that has been told of these men. It's more of, at this day and age in Lord of the Rings, it's more of a myth than like fact. It's one of those things. It's like, oh, it was so long ago. Who knows if it's even true? Type of deal.
Right. They do approach a door in the forest, and Gimli says the warmth of his blood has left. This place was built by dead for the dead.
Yeah.
A large gust of wind comes out of the door and scares their horses away, and Aragorn says he does not fear death, and enters the door.
These horses that they have now as well are the same horses they had. So I should correct myself. The horse that Legolas and Gimli are on is one of the horses they received from Éomer back in the second movie, before reaching Erebus.
Oh, okay.
The horse that Aragorn is on is Brago, right? That horse that he calms in the second movie, and then it comes and takes him to Helm's Deep after he falls off the cliff. So, like, yes, they're horses, but these three would have a very good relationship with these horses. They've ridden into battle with these horses. They trust each other. And so, like, this, I would say, evil presence these horses are feeling is strong enough that they are abandoning their riders, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
Especially since they are Rohirrim horses, which are considered a breed in itself within this world. Okay. So it is a big deal, the presence that is given off by just the entrance to this place, to try and give some sort of perspective to.
Yeah. Legolas follows, and then Gimli says it's odd that an elf would go underground where a dwarf would not.
Yeah. Which I think is hilarious.
Basically saying, yeah. Well, anyway, and then we cut back to Theoden, and he's getting ready to head out.
And so at this point, I want to break this up so we're aware of our groups, because we now have another splinter in groups, right? So, I mean, granted, so we're only adding one other group now, but we are now following Frodo, Sam, and Gollum. I'm still going to count them all as one group, even though that Frodo kind of kicks Sam to the curb. We are also following Gandalf and Pippin. We are now following Theoden and Éomer, Éowyn, and Merry. And now we have Legolas, Aragorn, and Gimli back on their own with just the three of them. So we've got 4 different groups we're following now. I guess I would count as well with Gandalf and Pippin. We'll throw like Denethor in there as well again, because it's Gondor. The Gondor group, the Rohan group, Frodo, Sam, Gollum, Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli. 4 different groups. Yep. So apologizing if it kind of gets a little hard to track, because it does quite a bit of jumping.
Yeah. But yeah, Theoden gets ready to head out. He tells Merry that he will not have him as a burden, so he doesn't want him in battle. Someone swoops him up onto their horse and rides off with the others. And we see their face shown. It is Éowyn riding into battle with them. Now, we talked about this a little bit before. Aragorn was aware of Éowyn's intentions of battling, but in Theoden's mind, it was like she's staying back. He even put her in charge if he doesn't come back, but obviously she's suiting up in secret and brings Merry along.
This is one of those things that I wonder, because Theoden does accept Merry's sword earlier, right? And so I'm wondering if Éomer has said something to Theoden because he saw Merry dressed up, saw him heading to the smithy to sharpen his blade. So I wonder if this is Éomer's doing.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable assumption, but I don't know.
Because I think they're all assuming that Merry doesn't know anything about combat, which is not the case, you know?
Yeah.
Because Merry fought in Moria with the Fellowship. You know, he fought goblins. He's seen battle. He also fought with the Ents at Isengard. Again, more battle. You know, and so, like, obviously not extensive as, like, Theoden or Éomer, but he does have combat experience now. But I would say this is one of those things where they're just assuming he doesn't know anything about anything.
Right.
And I really wonder if Éomer would have said something to Theoden about leaving Merry behind.
Yeah. But we cut to orcs marching on Minas Tirith, and there's a lot.
Yeah.
We cut back to Aragorn, and they see a mountain of skulls in this
I'm going to do a quick check on the numbers.
Yeah.
Because, again, I think it's... I like giving the numbers so, like, we can see the odds of the fights here.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, the numbers here. 3,000 Gondorian soldiers, 500 guards of the Citadel, which are those guards that we see earlier in the movie guarding the tree of Gondor, right?
Yeah.
Less than 3,000 South Gondorians and men from outlying provinces. So basically 3,500 troops of Minas Tirith, less than 3,000 from other provinces of Gondor, which is an insanely low number for how big Gondor truly is. And then when the battle comes, there'll be an additional 6,000 Rohirrim cavalry. And then for the bad side, tens of thousands of orcs, Easterlings, Haradrim, and Varag, and then several hundred of like specialized units that we'll see later. So in the movie here, when this battle kicks off, for the most part, we're only going to see orcs. But in the actual battle, which they don't really do a good job portraying once we get there, there are orcs and men and whatnot on the bad side, and then just men on the good side. But so you're talking here, the number it gives is roughly 12,500 good guys, so Gondorians and Rohirrim, against tens of thousands. It doesn't even give an actual number. It just says tens of thousands of orcs and whatnot. So you're talking at a bare minimum, if you just took 10,000, you're talking like almost a 3-to-1 odds. But it says tens of thousands. So that could be anywhere from 10,000 all the way up to 90,000, right? So like the odds are obviously like heavily in favor of the orcs. So just something to keep in mind as we come closer to the Battle of Minas Tirith. And so this battle as well is referred to as the Battle of Pelennor Fields. And that Pelennor Fields is the fields that the orcs are marching across to get to Minas Tirith. Just a heads up there. And there's a lot of different points and stuff that once we get to the battle, I'll be pointing out. So just a heads up to you, Jacob. There'll be different points and stuff that I'll be like, oh, hold on, we got some of this going on here, and here's some other numbers and stuff like that. But anyways, back to this. We see Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli going through the cave entrance, and as you said, they see some like some skulls and whatnot stacked in one of the passageways. And it's not just like 3 or 4. It's like a mound of skulls that are blocking this doorway. So you're talking like hundreds or thousands of skulls.
Yeah,
and just down that one.
Yeah, it's a big pile.
Yeah. Because it's
Legolas,
not just like a little inlet. It's like a full blown doorway, completely covered top to bottom with skulls.
Yeah. Legolas says the dead are following. They have been summoned. There's a mist on the ground that has like arms reaching up to them, and one reaches for Gimli, and he just blows it away really vigorously.
Yeah.
Aragorn tells them not to look down, but Gimli does, and they're walking on skulls.
Because you hear, and I think you only hear it from Gimli. You hear crunching underfoot.
Yeah.
And so like they're walking, as you said, on skulls on the ground, and Gimli's weight is just crushing them.
Yeah. But they approach a large structure. Someone calls out, "Who enters my domain?" It's the King of the Dead. Aragorn replies with, "One who will have our allegiance." A ghostly display of a city kind of comes up, and he says, "The way has been shut by the dead, and the dead keep it. Many other ghosts come forth," and there's a lot.
Yeah, by a lot, there's like tens of thousands. Like
yeah,
like a lot is damn.
Yeah, but the king says the way is shut. Now they must die. The king also says, "None but the son of Gondor may summon me." Aragorn pulls out his sword, blocking the ghost attacks, and grabs the ghost's throat. That line was broken, he exclaims, and Aragorn says it has been remade. Aragorn says to fight for them and regain their honor. He tells them that he is Isildur's heir, fight for him, and have their oaths fulfilled.
Yeah.
And the king laughs at him.
Yeah, and because this is one of those things that I don't know if it's just that the King of the Dead does not believe him, or that he has been dead and trapped in that mountain for so long that he's just given up hope of their oath being fulfilled. You know?
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure really which one it is. But as you said, you know, Aragorn's like, fight for me and your oath will be fulfilled. And then they all kind of like start laughing and kind of just disappear like they're not gonna do it.
Yep. And everything shakes, the walls of the castle crumble, and the sea of skulls flows down.
It
Aragorn,
is like
Gimli,
a proper like sea of skulls. It's like it's not just like
it's a lot.
Skulls drop. It's like a freaking tidal wave of skulls. It's like, and I'm assuming each one of these skulls belongs to one of these spirits.
To one of them. Yeah, more than likely.
And so again, we're talking like tens of thousands.
Yeah. Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas run and escape, and they see, as they come out of the side, like they get outside, they see the attack that's coming from the south.
So this
their
part
city's
here,
on fire.
This part here is extended edition. Just a heads up.
Okay.
As we see them come out and we see cities on fire and whatnot.
Okay.
That part is.
But Aragorn sees this. He looks defeated. Then they hear wind whistling, and out comes the king from the mountain, and he looks and he says, "We fight."
Yeah.
And that is where I picked to end this 2.5 hour long recording. This section. So That's where we're at.
Yeah. Some final notes on this section.
Yeah.
So this part here, as right before the King of the Dead comes out, says we will fight, because Aragorn, like, he drops to his knees, and you said, like, he is defeated, and because basically what this is like, I've failed. Like, Elrond told me this was our only hope. They're not gonna fight. These ships are coming down the river. Cities are burning. We can't stop them. Gondor's doomed.
Yeah.
You know, and you can see on his face, like, the heaviness of that, like, that he's feeling the failure very strongly. And when we pick up for the next episode, right, and we'll get to a certain point, there's a little more on this that I don't want to go into until we see a little more of the movie.
Okay.
And I'll just say it's a difference between movie and book.
Gotcha.
But one difference that I will say now is that in the books, right, starting in the Two Towers, at the Battle of Helm's Deep in the books, the elves are not there, which I have mentioned before. Aragorn is there with the Grey Company, which is a company of Dunedain, roughly 30 soldiers, that have shown up, and they're accompanying Aragorn, and their leader, his name is Halbarad, I believe. And they accompany Aragorn. When it gets to the third movie, that company of soldiers, the company of 30 Dunedain soldiers, go with Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli through the Path of the Dead. So in the movie, it's just the three of them. In the books, they have a company of Dunedain soldiers that come with them.
Gotcha. Let's see.
So, again, some variations between movie and book.
Yeah.
And one thing that I have been told, and one thing that I agree with, if you're wanting to watch the movies and read the books, treat them as different journeys to the same destination. Because
because otherwise you're just comparing it.
Yeah,
and you're gonna just find
otherwise you're comparing it, and there's so much more that happens in the books, and some of the battles and stuff like that and events happen differently. And truthfully, it's purely because if they were to make these movies truly and purely on the exact events of the books, we would be looking at 3 movies per book, like they did with The Hobbit. But even with the Hobbit movies that they came out with, there's a lot of variations between the movies and the books. The movies and the book. Like in the book of The Hobbit, Legolas is not in the book.
Right.
You know, so like, but yeah, for anyone that's, you know, reading book and watching movie, treat them as separate journeys to the same destination.
Yep.
Especially the second book.
Is that the more heavy one as far as differences?
Yeah, mainly because, so like in the first book, the differences are basically the movies leave out some of the events of the book, but it still follows basically the same journey.
Gotcha.
The second movie is where you see the differences, mainly with the elves arriving at Helm's Deep instead of the Grey Company. Which, if I'm not mistaken, the Grey Company doesn't show up to Helm's Deep until after the fighting. But I could be wrong on that. And then because of those differences from in the second book to second movie, we see more differences in third book to third movie. As well as, I think I mentioned it as well, the ending of the second book is actually the beginning of the third movie. So the whole thing with Saruman.
Yeah.
But Peter Jackson was looking for a high note to leave off on the second movie, so, you know, the victory of Helm's Deep. That's their big heroic win. So that's where they left off with that one. But yeah, so for those that have read the books, expect more differences coming up, especially when we get to the Battle of Pelennor Fields, which is one of the 2 big battles of the third movie. And that's the battle that we have been seeing being prepared for. So the orcs taking out Osgiliath, Rohirrim riding to Gondor. That's all going to culminate to the Battle of Pelennor Fields.
Yep. All right. I'm ready to be done. Stop talking.
I will talk more.
I'll disconnect.
Oh.
No. I don't know. God. Sorry. I'm like, oh, this is 2.5 hours of sitting here. So I'm kind of feeling it. I feel like overall I was a little more short when you had, additions to say. I was getting a little more frustrated. That being said, you did cut me off a good amount. So, but.
Yeah, well, I kind of have to.
Anyway, so that's the end of part 2. We'll eventually get to part 3. Evan is still alive, and that was not the reason he's. I don't know if he will be for next episode.
I'm offering.
I'm
offering it to you.
Oh, like so that you don't?
No, so that you can. Let me just go ahead and take that round out of the chamber.
Why was there one in it?
Why not? What's the point of having a gun if you don't have a round in the chamber?
Safety. You keep one out of it.
I have a safety on this gun. It just happens to be on the trigger.
All right, put it down. Freaking swear to God. Anyway, so
Jacob, thoughts on this section of the movie?
I mean, freaking, I don't know. Is it bad if I don't remember what even happened?
Maybe.
After we just went through it? I generally integrate my thoughts into my notes. So if there's something that I said or made fun of, I don't know. I guess where I'm struggling is like, since we have last recorded, I went ahead and finished the movie.
Right.
And so I'm trying to distinguish visually where everything was in accordance to what we just went through. And I'm tired of sitting here. So part of it's not really remembering what parts just occurred, But I remember the sea of skulls being like, I was like, holy crap, like that's freaking, yeah. And also I had the same thoughts on like, that's how many of these ghost things there are. Holy crap, and it kind of gives a little more of scale on to what's going on. So
right.
There was that. I don't know any other thoughts as of right now.
A fair point as well is that this section of the movie is just build up,
Right, and it still is.
Like I think the biggest important part of this section of the movie, the 2 parts, is the whole thing with Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, the King of the Dead, and then like right there towards the beginning, the whole thing with Frodo giving up on Sam. And so, like, everything else is just kind of set up. Stop shaking your camera.
I'm not. I'm shaking my table.
But, like, those are, like, the 2 big points of this section. And the rest of it's just kind of build up. So, like,
right.
There's not really a whole lot to, like, key points to remember. Basically, just, like, Rohan's getting ready for war. Gondor's getting ready for war.
I mean, that's what it is. But there's obviously some to elaborate with it. But as far as just reflection, it's like, well... It's build up.
This is like the calm before the storm.
Yep.
And so like people don't really remember the calm, they remember the storm. So
right. So anyway, next time, whenever that is, we will pick up the timestamp I didn't actually get, but it was around like 1:58, I think. We'll pick up there.
1:58:14. Nope, we're a little further
14.
past.
Somewhere in there.
1:58:34.
Deuces.